So to go through some of the recap of when I was doing the transmission crossmember, because all these things were sort of interconnected. Pedal box, the putting the clutch, all I wanted to do was take the brake pedal assembly out and put the clutch pedal assembly in. And I thought I could do that without dropping the steering column and taking the steering column out. I pulled the steering column and I cut an old section out of the steering shaft to make it mate up to the new rag joint on that box. And I cut it too deep, so it had a little bit of slop in it. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take the whole steering apart and rebuild it. And hopefully that wasn't a mistake. So this video is gonna have a little bit of recap from how I was taking everything apart, and keep in mind that I wasn't doing that with the mindset that I'm gonna take the steering column out. I was making it harder than it needed to be. So you'll see that. You'll see the struggle, and you'll see why it's better to just drop the whole steering column out.
So this is the current position of the brake booster. These 4 posts here, those 4 threaded rods, are the frame for the brake pedal, and I will be pulling those out and replacing them with a new one.
Basically, this is the brake pedal, and it's connected to a little cotter pin that moves the piston in and out of the master cylinder through the firewall here. So I gotta disconnect that in order to pull the master cylinder off. I have this new pedal assembly. It takes the place of the entire frame. There's an entire frame up here that the existing brake pedal is already connected to, and it's up under there, and this steering column is held up by it. So I have to take not only the existing master cylinder out, but I also have to take the entire frame for that out, which is probably going to involve dropping the steering column. So there are some threaded things here, which I think a while since I did these, but I think these square nuts were on there. And then there's another one on this side. See them? 1, 2. One, 2. So those rivets had nuts on the firewall side over there, so those are loose. I think if I hit them from the firewall, I can knock everything loose. I'm gonna try. Alright, so there they are. Old, new. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. Look, DDC. Let's move back.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna sit.
Alright, so the new pedal box is mounted. Well, no, it's not mounted. It's not mounted at all. The new, and it's dumb that they call it a pedal box because it's not a box either. The new pedal assembly is kind of roughed in place up there, but I have to put 4 riveted studs through that firewall, and I have to get these mounting tabs mounted up here. And the magic is getting all those 6 points to line up at the same time. This is a steering shaft. I was able to find this part, I think I got it on eBay. And you can see it's got this cross-sectional profile, and it fits into this rag joint, which was intended to go with the classic performance power steering system. It also came with these super nice
U-joints. This one fits perfectly. It's the right spline size for the power steering. This fits on the end of this shaft and has multiple ways to tighten and fasten onto there. And then there's a larger kind of keyed shaft that would then go on the end of the column. Before, I had hacked together this piece to make it look like that, and it was supposed to engage this way, which worked, but I cut it too much, and so I had way too much slop in it. And that was going to connect down here like the rag joint, and then up here. Theoretically, it looked like it was going to work. When the car was up and the wheels were off the ground, I could make them turn. But not under any kind of load. This was the old part of the steering shaft, which I cut, and that formally connected to the old rag joint. So, you know, it was down here like this somehow. So all that's going away. Then, so there's this kind of, it may have once been rubber. It's a seal that I run around the firewall and fit like on this flange here. So I loosened that off, and that allowed me to get this steering shaft loose, but it was also connected to a collar that was here, and it's bolted to the firewall. Here's one of the nuts. There's another one down here, and there's another one down here. That's yet another frame. There's two frames that hold the steering column in place. One of them is this one that's got a collar mount for the steering column. And then what bolts to that is the pedal assembly. So the pedal assembly bolts to that and hangs down, and then you can push on the pedals to make them work. I was having a heck of a time getting the pedals put installed because this is like mounting bracket. So I'm going to unbolt this mounting bracket, and then I will have the entire steering system disassembled. That's the one with the 3 bolts I was just pointing to. This is this bracket that was mounted here, and it's where the steering column passes through. This goes through the firewall. This is where the boot is normally located for the steering column. The steering column goes through here. There's a little band that goes around the column, and it kind of hangs on here and keeps the column fixed in place. This also right here bolts to the pedal box, and that's why getting the pedal box out and then putting the new one in has been so hard, because I'm trying to get it over that, around that, and you know, they're interfering. So they're 1/2-inch bolts, and I took them off. I can get the pedal box mostly arranged. I think this is the first time I'm trying. Yeah, it just slips right in, super easy. I got some wiring down here to be aware of, but if I get this all situated, I can get this put back, and then my new pedal box with its clutch will be in place. And there you go, there's some progress. This is just like a little mounting strap that slips over that bracket, so you can kind of see behind the wrapping, there's the white of the steering wheel. That's cool. But I want it to stay like this. Including the horns, the look of it, and everything. It's just perfect. I want to leave it just this way. I'm not going to do a thing to it. There's this piece here, which I refinished. That's what the steering column passes through. It goes down here. And that goes right here. So I refinished that, and that looks all nice. But that's kind of in the way, because if you leave it in there, the pedal box actually has to go up on top of it. This is that bracket. It's got 3 bolts that go through the firewall. And it's got basically a little guiding bracket that supports this like that. I hope. Yeah, it'll be like that. Yeah, that'll probably work.
This is the steering column boot. It's a rubber boot that actually has a metal frame here. You see it's all cracked. So I'm gonna have to get a new one of these.
Firewall for the pedal box, firewall for the steering column bracket. And there, that kind of should look like what it's going to go in. These are the pedal box bolts. That was the plate down below. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so you see, there it is. There's that triangular black bracket that's in the back. The pedal box has a couple mounting things. There's these bolts that come down that shoot through there, and you gotta thread nuts on those. There's another one right here. So these two, I think this is some kind of adjustment for like angling it up or down. And the brake pedal has a spring on it, so it comes back. It's cool. And there's the clutch. Now, the clutch will eventually here connect to something like this. I'll have two of those basically. Here's one for the brake booster that goes in the plunger for the brake booster, and then there's going to be something that goes in the plunger for the clutch booster, which I haven't yet figured out. But if I get the steering column in here, this will be a win. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger tight thread some nuts on the other side of the firewall just to hold it in place, and then slip the steering column through and see how it looks. So I rigged this bungee cord up here to hold this column in while I could get the bracket done. So the bracket's holding it in place. So I'm going to try to put this thing around the bottom on that triangular firewall piece. See how that works. All right. It appears to be in. There it is. So there's the old boot. There's the new boot. Top coat. So I got the Willwood brake booster kind of finger tight assembled. This is for the clutch, and I don't even know where to put that yet. I'm not sure how that's going to work. It's kind of a universal kit, so I have to figure that out. But I think this is how the Hydro Boost is going to look. And I started disassembling the steering column so I could get the steering wheel off. There are two 7/32 screws on the back. So I loosened those, and it took, they attached this nice thing here, which I think I'm going to buff out with rubbing compound. And then inside, once that's off, you can see there's a nut there on the steering shaft. I think that's a 3/4 inch bolt, so I'm going to take that off. Like I said, I really want to keep this steering wheel because it's just part of the car for me. This, see this goofy vinyl wrap? I mean, this is totally something my grandpa would do. He was always kind of just like rigging stuff up. So he, look at this like wrapped vinyl, whatever it is, to like put this around here. But I love it, you know? You see this grime? This is his skin. This is his skin. So I want this. I want to keep this on the steering wheel. I'm going to leave it just like that. You see that? I'm going to leave it just like that. So I want to be really careful with it. I don't like what I've done here so far, so I'm going to be careful with it. I need to figure out how to get this in the car. Well, I finally got that off. You know, I'm conflicted now on what to do because this is such a cool piece. I'll probably keep it, but I don't know where to put it. I got this off. I mean, it's so cool. It's so cool. For whatever reason, these are really hard to find, like specifically for 1961. You can get 62s, you can get 59s.
I don't know why, but it's really hard to get 61s. It's that way for a lot of parts. I mean, the fenders on that car are super hard to find too. Anyway, this covering here is all metal. This appears to be a piece of polished aluminum, and I think I could polish it up with some buffing compound. But like I said, I kind of want to leave this the way it is because that's just the way it was when my grandpa drove it. The thing that's kind of sad is this whole piece is phenolic. Probably phenolic. It's some sort of cast resin plastic. And this spline, I think, is a metal sleeve. But it's cracked. I was sad because I cracked it, but it was already actually quite cracked in that area. That's why it broke, which I've now discovered. And it's cracked back here, so it makes it hard to put this piece on where it's supposed to go. So, less than ideal. It's not in great shape. But my only other options are basically to have like a Grant steering wheel, which I have in the truck. And it's cool, I like it, but it's just not very original. I mean, what's neat about this one is look at the theme. Here, let's look at the taillights. The theme of this car is, circular holes in a row, circular patterns in a row. And look at it here. See? It carries through. This is like the two front headlights. So it's neat. It should look like that. And so I have to decide what to do. So she's test fit. She's just sitting on here. I'm gonna have to figure out how to adjust this more. Not fully aligned, but there's 3 pedals. And there's a steering wheel. Still not sure if I'm going to use this steering wheel. I mean, I really want to. I've been saying that's what I'm going to do, but after I found out that phenolic frame is cracked, I'm now second guessing. But for now, check it out. I'm excited. It's back together.